that. And so Thich Nhat Hanh was in Vietnam, working as he does, to being compassionate, being a monk, and he had a very beautiful sangha of people that were practicing with him. And gosh, around the time of the Vietnam War, he was asked to make a decision, to choose a side that he could then work with and work for. And because he said everyone is on my side, he was asked to leave the country. And he was looking for a home. He looked in America. He went to Canada. He went to France. And he ended up settling in France. And he had what's called the Plum Village there. And so this picture, I wish I could show it to you. I'm not going to do it now, but I'll post it on the Facebook page. It's a picture of Thich Nhat Hanh meeting with Martin Luther King. And it's the ability not to see race, not to see color, not to see sides. I think that's what we're all doing here. Now, I know people are moving around. I'm going to end up muting you in a moment, but I do want to let you know you can unmute yourself. And because I'd like to just check in and see who's on the call with us and see who would like to share and see who's done the feast before. So I'm going to mute this. So if you know how to unmute yourself, can you see the screen here?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to unmute yourself, you can just go ahead and click unmute and introduce yourself. I see Dawn. Dawn, would you like to say hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can, and I can see you.
Oh, good. It works. I did it, I was very ready because I didn't pay attention to Pacific time, so I was ready about an hour ago.
Perfect.
Glad to be here.
Well, Dawn is on our advisory board for the Feast for the Soul. She lives somewhat near me. It's great to see you on the call today. We've been working together for a while.
Yes.
Let's see if someone else would like to. Hi, Kathleen. I see your face. Good morning. Can you hear us? I don't think she can hear me. Okay. Let's see here. There's Anne. Hi, Anne. I'm going to unmute you. Would you like to say hello? I just see your scarf. Wait a minute. We can't hear you. Hold on. Can't hear you. No.
How about that?
There you are. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm recovering from surgery, so I just had foot surgery, and I'm laying in bed with my foot elevated, and but I've never done the Feast for the Soul, so I'm really excited.
Well, as we're waiting, thank you for joining us, and I hope you recovered quickly. As we're waiting for others to join us on the call, I wanted to share with you that this feast is really about deep practice. It's about practicing deeply. It's about putting your spirituality first. I don't know if you've ever done that. I know some of you have, but putting your spirituality first it means that before your to-do list, before you are a human doing, you become a human being. You connect with the deepest part of yourself. And for me, it really does extend to everything I do throughout my day. I'm lucky enough to have the profession of being a meditation teacher and being the director of the Feast for the Soul, but I always put spirituality first. And sometimes I have to remember to do it, especially when there's adversity or discomfort or challenges, even technical challenges, when our website went down today or they stopped me from sending emails. And then that's when the spiritual practice takes place. So I'd love to see who else is on this call. Would anyone like to say hello? You can unmute yourself, I believe.
Hi, this is Marcy.
Hey, Marcy. Would you like to share?
This is my first time to participate in the feast, and I'm really excited.
What made you decide that you wanted to take this time right now to do this?
I saw it on your application in your meditation institute.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good. Whatever way you find us. The Feast for the Soul is in its 11th year. And some of you know that it was founded after a woman named Valerie Sconey, who came and visited me in Sedona. She was reading a poem by Rumi, and it said, "What 9 months does for a growing embryo, 40 early mornings will do for your growing awareness." And after she read that poem, she realized that, you know, it's time to deepen her practice. She's a practicing American Sufi. There's a big group of them in Sarasota, and actually a lot of people who are participating in the feast are from there. However, she decided to gather her group of friends, calling it the Winter Feast. They were in Haley, Idaho, and they all committed to deepening their practice. And so that was the birth of the Feast for the Soul, which we now call Feast for the Soul rather than Winter, because we do have a number of participants in the Southern Hemisphere. It's already almost day 2 of the feast for those friends of ours who are in Australia and New Zealand, and we welcome you too. So the Feast for the Soul is really about personal commitment, committing to yourself to overcome whatever challenges might sort of reveal themselves as you dedicate 40 minutes a day to your spiritual practice. Now you can do 20-minute periods, 2 20-minute periods. But remember that poem, not that Rumi knows everything, but he is one of the most popular poets in the world, and he's from the 13th century. He too is a Sufi, which is the mystic tradition of the Islam religion. And what he said was 40 early mornings. And early mornings, what we know in the traditions of monastics and nuns and priests, what they do is they get up at the ambrosia hour. The ambrosia hour is that hour between 4 and 6 a.m. I know when I lived in a Zen Buddhist monastery, that's what time we woke up, and we'd stumble around in the dark to find our meditation cushion. Some people did sneak in for coffee. And we sat in the stillness, in the dark, with a candle flame as our only light and heat. And I know many monastics throughout the centuries have done the same. And that ambrosia hour, it's a time of deep stillness, transformation. It's, if you know anything about Ayurveda, the science of life and longevity, it's a time that Akash or space rules. It's a time of stillness and the lightness of being. So I wanted to see who else would like to share while we're here, and I'm just about to move over to the altar, which I set up here. Now, unfortunately, it's a reverse image, but that little photo there says Feast for the Soul. Who would like to share their reason for being here, their sankalpa or their commitment, their resolve? Would anyone like to share? You can unmute yourself. There's a bar along the bottom of the screen if you see it. You can also wave and I'll unmute you. And let's see. I'm going to unmute a few of these phone calls because I don't think they can unmute themselves. But if you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. Say your name and where you're from, and what your spiritual practice is and why you're here. Okay, I might call on a few folks if you don't mind, since I'd love to hear some voices other than my own. Mary, I see you. Would you like to share what brought you here today? Mary?
I wasn't sure if I was the only Mary on the call. I'm usually not the only Mary in any room, so sorry for not answering.
Okay. I saw your face light up. You heard me.
I have participated with, as I just said to a bunch of friends, with varying levels of success in the feast in the past. And I am very attracted to meditation, but I struggle with it. So I'm joining in the hopes that this gets to be more of a daily practice for me.
May I ask you what your struggle is, or some of your struggles? Because I would love to help you.
Mostly just making sure that I set aside the time to do it every day.
Yeah. And it's usually because it has to become a priority. I think the feast is
Right.
is to making it a priority.
I agree.
Deepak Chopra, was one of, the more popular meditation teachers of this age. And he always says, get up to sit down. Get up to sit down and begin your practice that way. Don't get up and watch TV or check your phone. Really, the moment of your practice begins when you move from the sleep state to the waking state. And what do you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you stretch a little, or do you hop out of bed like it's an emergency? Do you check your phone to figure out the time and then get hijacked into emails and Instagram?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So my advice for those of you in the feast, for those of us who want to put our spirituality first, is to go analog. Go analog. Just like sleep is analog. Waking up can be analog. And, get a good old-fashioned watch, a good old-fashioned clock. And I know we're here by the grace of the internet and the technology that's here and now. But also we have to learn to function without it, to be supported and use it in a peaceful way that doesn't disrupt our ability to turn our attention inward and reclaim our attention. So first thing in the morning, go analog. Go invest in a watch, not an iWatch. Go invest in an alarm clock, not a phone. And see if you can wake up in that easy way, and then get up to sit down and begin that early morning of spiritual practice. Thank you, Mary, for that.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anyone else that would like to share? I see Gwen's on the call, Kathleen, Cheryl. If anyone would like to share why they're here, we would love that. And then we'll begin the ceremony in a moment.
Hi there. Hi, it's Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Good morning, everybody. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but you were talking about Rumi, and I too, I love Rumi, and I pulled up one of his prayers, if you will, or poems, and I don't know the whole thing, but just the first few lines. The breezes at dawn have secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. But the first few lines, the breezes at dawn have secrets to tell you. And that's what I think about, waking up and really starting your day with not just don't go back to sleep, but don't run out the door, checking your email either. The dawn has secrets to tell you, and not just this one.
I love it. Thank you, Dawn. Maybe you can post that on our Facebook page.
I will. I found that, and then I have another one to share later whenever you want me to.
Thank you.
I'm just so happy to be here. This is my first time officially being a part of the feast. So,
well, we welcome you and anyone who's on this call. I got a chat here. If some of you are on the internet, you can use the chat. And Gwen just chatted with me. I want to see if I can unmute you, Gwen. And let's try it right now. I just did it from here. You want to see if the microphone works now? It doesn't seem to. Okay, well, let me read it for those of you who are on the phone.
Might be on the bottom left. It was on the bottom left of my screen, if that's any help to unmute myself.
So she said she's participated in the feast since the very beginning in Idaho. Always a good way to reduce, to deepen and renew her practice. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. I appreciate seeing you here and being with all of you. I'm going to move over to our altar here, and I'm going to mute you now. I'll come back and forth because I don't have a cameraman today. Yesterday I did. It's usually my husband, but he's leading a 40-minute meditation at my meditation center here in Sedona.
Sarah, all of a sudden, I cannot hear you. I heard your opening, but I cannot hear you now. And I know that I see that you moved over to the altar. I do want to hear you.
I can't hear you as well, Sarah.
Oh, there we go. You can. I muted myself. I hope you can hear me now. Can you hear me okay? Thumbs
I
up?
can.
Yeah.
Very, very faint.
Yes.
Very faint. And my volume is all the way up.
Really? Well, I don't know what to do to fix that. Can you hear me right now?
I hear you okay.
I hear you.
Okay, thank you all. This is as good as it gets. Sorry about that. Okay. So can you hear me now?
I hear you fine, Sarah.
Okay, thank you.
I can hear you very faint, but I can hear you. Yes, it's better. It's definitely better.
Oh, good. Well, I'll project my voice as close as I can to the microphone, which is on the other side of this room. So you either see me or hear me. I'll keep coming back and forth. So let's take a moment with our eyes closed. Tuning into your resolve. Tuning into what's called in Sanskrit your sankalpa, your commitment, your resolve to be here. What is your aspiration? What is your inspiration? What do you long for? Whatever it is, let me assure you that it can be found within. And the Feast for the Soul is the perfect opportunity to explore your interior. And get to know and experience your true nature beyond religion, beyond the color of your skin, beyond all your numbers and your letters. Thank you for joining me today, the first day of the feast, for the opening ceremony. And I'll sound the bell now. So during this feast, all peaceful religions and spiritual paths are honored. And we as humans have been searching for the truth for many millennia. And this search has been answered through religions and spiritual practices, spiritual teachers, and awakenings, individual awakenings. And today we're going to be honoring those who have walked this path before us. There's no one right way, as we all know. And, you know, when I was setting up this altar, I was trying to find candles that all looked the same, but I couldn't find candle holders in my house. So as I was putting this altar together, I realized that even though we have some of the same similarities, we all have different ways of being and presenting ourselves in the world. And so it's not uniform. I don't think any one of us is uniform. I mean, none of us do it one way. There are all kinds of ways. And even though the word religion means tying back to a tradition, re is going back and lig means tie back. So even though religions are about going back to a tradition, I feel like the Feast for the Soul is establishing your own tradition, one that you can call your true religion, whatever that may be for you, inspired by the many, many teachers that have come before us. So we're doing the simple ceremony here. It's first observed in France in the early 20th century by those in the Sufi tradition. Just like Rumi, Sufism is the mystical tradition of Islam. Quite often the mystics show up in the traditional religions, the Christian contemplative or the Desert Father who shows up out of the Catholic religion. You've got the Kabbalists showing up out of the Jewish tradition. You have the Zen Buddhists showing up from the Buddhist tradition. And all the mystics that arise, whether they're philosophers or scientists. So today we're going to light candles to honor the oneness of all of our spiritual journeys. As each candle's lit, we're going to read a prayer, and I know some of you have a prayer that or a blessing that you'd like to share with us. And as we hear that, we'll honor and invoke the wisdom and the masters of all those traditions. So I'm going to open this ceremony with lighting the candle of truth. With lighting the candle of the truth of this oneness. And whatever the truth is you believe. And then one by one, we'll light each candle with the first one. So I light this candle in the honor of truth. And for all those who have held aloft the candle of truth. So let's begin now. I was going to share with you some of the inspiration that I've received. And the reason I do what I do is from the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. He's a Chinese philosopher, and he had written these words of wisdom, which I believe that we all are on this path, and I want to share it with you. In order to have peace in the world, there must be peace between nations. In order to have peace between nations, there must be peace in the cities. And in order to have peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. And in order to have peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. In order to have peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. So this is a good reason to practice, as we are all responsible for this peace. And in the honoring the tradition of Taoists and Taoism and the Tao Te Ching and Lao Tzu, I light that candle. I'd like to also share a chant I sang every day in the monastery, which I hope you enjoy. It's a Zen Buddhist monastery, so I think it is the charge of all Buddhists. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Desires are inexhaustible. I vow to put an end to them. The dharmas are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to attain it. This is a chant that's sung by monks in the Zen Buddhist monasteries every day. It's a vow, or these are vows to commit to the impossible, to commit to saving all sentient beings, to commit to mastering the dharmas, which is wisdom, to commit to ceasing desires. It's mastering the impossible. And it's a commitment that all of us as spiritual practitioners must make, is to override any idea that we're going to attain it and we still go on. We keep walking the path, and maybe it will be revealed to us. So in the light of the Zen Buddhists and Buddhism and the masters, I light this candle for all of those who have come before us. the Tibetan Buddhists, the Zen Buddhists, the Hinayana, the Mahayana Buddhists. So I'm going to come back over and see if anyone would like to share a reading from a tradition that they are inspired by. And if you would like to, you can just go ahead and unmute yourself or raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Or put yourself on the chat and I'll unmute you. Dawn, can I unmute you? I know you might have something to read.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Sarah asked me to think about something. If I could read, what would I read? And I've had a favorite. I don't call it a prayer, really. I guess it's a prayer. Some pronounce it Desiderata. I pronounce it Desiderata. I'm not sure why. My mom had it hanging in our kitchen ever since I can remember. And at certain times I would look at it in the kitchen corner, and no matter what was going on in my life, whether it was right after my dad died or I was going through a divorce or whatever, there was something in this prayer that said something to me and still does. So I keep it around and read it a lot, and it always has something, so I'll read it to you. Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy.
Dawn.
And that was written by Max Ehrman, and it's just one of my favorites.
So in the tradition of modern mystics, in the tradition of philosophers and poets, of those who step outside of the boundaries of organized religion, I light this candle to honor them and the oneness of truth. And you know what? Don't do this at home, but I'm supposed to light all the candles from this. So I'm just going to. So do what I say, not what I do. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to share a poem, a prayer, something they're moved by from their own tradition? Okay, well, I have a few for you. From the Vedic tradition, which is the mystic tradition, the precursor to Hinduism and the foundation of Hinduism, I'm going to sing another chant, and it's from the Upanishads. And this one means, take me from darkness to light, from ignorance to truth, and from death to immortality. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And in the tradition of the Vedantists, the Hindus, and those ancient practices of ancient India and Asia, I like this candle, the candle of truth, in honor of them and the path they've laid before us. You know, I thought about the Native Americans here in Sedona where I live. I'd open the windows, but all you'd see is sun. That's Sedona for you. Here in Sedona where I live, the Native Americans used this space as a place of ceremony. It's a difficult place to live. There's not a lot of water. There's one creek, and there's rarely any rain. And there's a group of Indians called the Sin Aguas. That means without water. There were Indians or Native Americans called the Anasazi. And still today, there are the Hopi and the Navajos and the Yavapai Indians. So in honor of all the natives of the Americas here and in South America and Central America, I'm going to share a prayer. This is translated by Chief Yellowlark in 1887. It's a Lakota Sioux chief. O great spirit, whose voice I hear in the winds, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. I am small and weak. I need your strength and wisdom. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make my hands respect the things you have. Make my hands respect the things you've made, and my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise so that I may understand the things you have taught my people. Let me learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. I seek strength, not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes. So when life fades as the fading sunset, my spirit may come to you without shame. And in the tradition of the natives of the Americas and all the great teachers and their traditions, I like this candle of truth. Is there anyone else who might want to share something they are inspired by? Well, I'm happy to keep going because I love every poem and prayer I've chosen. So let's start with I'm going to read a Jewish prayer. Let the rain come and wash away the ancient grudges, the bitter hatreds held and nurtured over generations. Let the rain wash away the memory of the hurt, the neglect, and then let the sun come out and fill the sky with rainbows. Let the warmth of the sun heal us wherever we're broken. Let it burn away the fog so that we can see each other clearly, so we can see beyond labels, beyond accents, beyond gender and skin color. Let the warmth and brightness of the sun melt our selfishness so that we can share the joys and feel the sorrows of our neighbors. And let the light of the sun be so strong that we will see all people as our neighbors. Let the earth, nourished by the rain, bring forth flowers to surround us with beauty. And let the mountains teach our hearts to reach upward to heaven. Amen, amen, amen. This is a prayer for the world by Rabbi Harold Kushner. And in the tradition of Judaism, I light this candle for the teachers, the philosophies, and the religion, and the truth that it represents. I'm going to honor now the Sikh tradition. The Lord put his light in this body, and so it came into the world. Yes, it came into the world when the Lord illumined the mind with his light. The Lord himself is the Father and the Mother, who created creatures so that they might see the world. When one realized the reality by the grace of the Guru, one comes to know that this world is a mere show. Thus the Lord created the universe, putting his light in every being. So in the tradition of the Sikhs and the philosophers, Guru Nanak, Guru Amar Das, I light this candle of oneness and truth, honoring their masters, including the Kundalini masters here in the States, Yogi Bhajan, and his followers. I'm going to come over to see if anyone has anything else they'd like to share. Is anyone motivated or moved to share? You can unmute yourself on the bottom left. And if not, I will share some of my other favorites. Let me see here.
Sarah, it's Dawn. I'm happy to share again. I don't want to be a dog.
What tradition are you thinking about sharing, Dawn?
It's actually, you asked what something that inspires us, and it's a Chinese proverb actually that was written to me or shared with me and others, and it kind of gives me strength. So.
Sure. Let's share it in the tradition of the Taoists, since that's the land of, China is the land of Taoism, or was. Would you like to share it?
I'll share part of it because it was a letter actually that was written to a group of us that were in a group of 9/11 survivor, and there was a group of us in therapy, and the wife of someone who died in the attacks wrote us a letter to help us feel better, which was inspiring enough because she's the one you would think would be suffering, but she just wanted us to know she was thinking of us who were struggling. And she wrote, there's a Chinese proverb that teaches, when we have tragedy and heartache in our lives, it is likened to that of carrying a large boulder with sharp edges around our necks. How will we carry this heavy load for the rest of our lives, for it will consume us and take us down? We must whittle down the boulder so that it may lie flat against our chest and therefore be easier to carry. We will never forget the devastation or cease to feel the pain of September 11th as we journey through our lives. but we can try to find ways to carry it with us so that we may continue our lives. This has become my personal mission. We are the ones here on earth to carry this out. I choose to write to you today because you were the people with whom I've been concerned and do not know what you feel because I cannot and will make sense of it all. There are things that I feel help take from what you feel and need. Be well, try to celebrate life as much as you can because your life continues on earth for as long as you're meant to be here. You are precious and have many gifts to share, and I will think and pray for you every day. And that's sent by a woman who lost her husband. And she sent it to us who thought we were struggling. So.
Thank you, Dawn. Mm-hmm. It brought to my mind this prayer, the way that divine grace can bless us in unexpected ways, and maybe we'll dedicate this to divine grace. I asked God for strength that I might achieve, but I was made weak that I might learn to humbly obey. I asked for health that I might do greater things, but I was given infirmity that I may do better things. I asked for riches that I might be happy, but was given poverty that I might be wiser. I asked for power that I might have praise of men, but I was given weakness that I might feel the need of God. I asked for things that I might enjoy life, but I was given the life that I might enjoy all things. I got nothing I asked for, but everything I hoped for. Almost despite myself, my unspoken prayers were answered. I, among all human beings, am most richly blessed. So in the light of tragedy and struggle, let's honor divine grace that's born out of tragedy, that's born out of it all. Thank you for sharing that, Dawn. I'm going to grab this last prayer. In the Christian tradition, if I can find it, here we go. St. Francis of Assisi, one of my favorites. A real mystic. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. So in the Christian traditions, the wisdom, the religion, the philosophers, the knowledge, I like this candle of oneness. So now we'll take a few minutes in meditation. I'm going to bring over my meditation seat and find a place where you're comfortable. And I'll guide us briefly into a meditation and then allow for the meditation to be silent. So comfort is key. Find that comfortable spot. And closing your eyes, turning your attention inward. You can begin by deepening your breath. It sends a signal to your body that it's time to relax, activating that rest and respond system. We'll be meditating for about 10 minutes. I'll keep track of the time. And we'll start with the sound of the bell as you let your breath return to its natural rhythm and depth. So as we sit with our eyes closed, you can begin by welcoming everything and resisting nothing. Welcome the sound you hear. Welcome the sensations you feel physically. And welcome whatever emotions are present right now. Throughout this practice, you can bring your attention back to your breath, your body, or a silent prayer. Remember, these moments of spiritual practice are truly that, a practice so that you can live a life that is easy and grace-filled, compassionate and kind, connected to everyone and everything. So the practice of welcoming everything, expecting nothing, and to keep returning our attention to what's important to us. If this is your first time meditating, you can allow your attention to rest on the inhale and the exhale. The breath of life, tuning into the sensations. Noticing the variance in temperature, sensation, and letting your attention rest on the pauses between each breath. Throughout this practice, treat yourself with an attitude of gentleness. And now bring your attention to your resolve, to your intention for observing the feast. And now commit to your deep practice. How will you observe the feast? What is your commitment to the feast for the soul? To the feast for your own soul? And you may keep your eyes closed. I'd like to share with you a poem from John O'Donohue. He's a Celtic mystic who has recently passed away, and he talks about this beginning and this beginning of this feast and a beginning of any commitment. And I want to share his words of wisdom. In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts had never thought to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, and noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the great promises that sameness whispered. It heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, and wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight, when your courage kindled, and you stepped out onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning. It's at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back and learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. This feast is about creating a new rhythm. It's always important to come out of meditation slowly, to make the transitions between waking and sleeping and waking and meditating and waking. All of these transitions, observe them slowly, just like the dawn or the sunset. They come slowly, just like the unfurling of our own awareness. So it's in the practice of the Tibetan Buddhists that we can offer the merits of our meditation and the establishment of peace to whomever and whatever we believe is deserving, whether you know of people suffering, the planet itself, a person, yourself. Take a moment and dedicate the merits of your meditation and your spiritual practice to someone other than you. And with appreciation for yourself, take a moment and be grateful that you have stepped into this voluntarily, that you're making this choice to put your spirituality first. Really appreciate yourself in this moment. As the Zen Buddhists say, awaken, awaken, do not squander your life. So thank you for making this choice today. I'll see you during this feast. Thank you.
Thank you.